Well, good evening, everybody. It's on or about 6:30, and I'll call this meeting to order and ask everyone to please silence cell phones or electronic devices if you have them. I have a motion moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, that the agenda be amended to add appointments to the Trenton Memorial Hospital Foundation Physician Recruitment Committee under Section 11, unfinished business. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Tadman, that Council approve the May 21st, 2019 Council agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. And I'll ask if there are any declarations of pecuniary interest, and if so, please state the general nature thereof. There are none noted. Are there any announcements this evening? Councillor Tadman?
I was kind of waiting for Councillor Bateman, but I'll go ahead since he did it last time. The 29th, coming up on Wednesday, is the Brighton Accessibility Awareness Day from 12 till 3, and free lunch and drinks, and there'll be all different kinds of agencies and people there with special equipment for people that have disabilities. So there'll be people from the blind, hearing, and people showing the newest, latest wheelchairs and scooters and all kinds of aids. So, and you know, it would be great if at least some from council showed up. I think that's all for that.
Thank you, Councillor Tadman. Are there any other announcements? Councillor Rowley?
Just a public thank you. I know it was via email this week, but we did have a lot of fun at the Bowl for Kids' Sake, the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Northumberland, and it was nice to see that all of council could participate, and I think I went home feeling that we had a great time. Hope everyone else did too.
I would agree. Councillor Anderson?
Yeah, I enjoyed the bowling as well. I did all right there. A couple of things. I enjoyed doing a presentation on behalf of the mayor at the Presqu'île Probus Club last week. It was for their May. May was Probus month, right? Not April, as the letter says. And I also I'm happy to join the mayor this week at Proctor House with the presentation. You can talk about that.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Councillor Anderson and I gave the grant and aid at the Proctor House Museum to the volunteers at the museum, and we know that that museum brings in a great number of people to the community year after year, and the volunteers there conduct tours, some in other languages. French and German, we heard, were two of the ones that are conducted by volunteers, so that's great. Any other announcements? Councillor Tadman?
Further to this accessibility day, it was supposed to be the Moby Mats, Gwyn, but Beach One is closed, so that's postponed. But I also wanted to let the public know that anybody that needs a ride, Quinte Access bus will pick them up and bring them and take them back home. So
thank you. Anything else? Thank you, everyone. We'll move on to adoption of the minutes, and I have a motion moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Tadman, that Council approve the May 6, 2019 council meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, that Council approve the May 13th, 2019 planning meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. We do not have a statutory public meeting this evening. We have one delegation from Mr. Donald Madison requesting Sunday hunting in the municipality of Brighton. And I guess, Mr. Madison, you're going to give us a petition as well if you'd like to come up. Delegations are permitted 10 minutes to, if you just come up to the blue chair here, sir. The blue chair.
Mr. Mayor and Council, my name's Don Madison, and I'm here to present the petition. I believe most people have it here. There's 137 names on it. It took me approximately 4 or 5 hours at the most to acquire those names. I did not bring a large group of people with me tonight, but I'm leaving it to council to talk to the people of the township. I set up on Highway 30 at Spring Valley Road for a couple of hours and had car after car stop and sign. I have several ladies hunters stopped and signed the petition, and also fathers with young sons who are junior hunters, which is rough age 12 to 15. They have a license, but they can only hunt with an adult and must hunt on their gun and license. They go to school, same as the working man that works days, Monday to Friday. He can only hunt on Saturday in Brighton Township. There's no Sunday hunting, and there hasn't been for years. I set up on Highway 2 down by No Frills for a couple of hours and had the same response, cars stopping. I never had a negative car stop. I had one man stop, signed the petition. He said, "I am not a hunter, but I will sign your petition. I support it." I had a lady walk all the way from Tim Hortons up to where they moved that house up on Highway 2. She walked all the way up there to sign my petition. I had a lot of requests to set up in the Gosport Road. I never did. They said there's a lot of hunters that want Sunday hunting. Gosport has basically existed on hunting and fishing. That was its existence from the start. What else? Okay. The ban on Sunday hunting was passed as a result of a few people on the bay who didn't want shooting on Sunday mornings. This ban affected all hunters in the entire township. They tried to ban just the bay for hunting, but they could not. It has to be all or nothing. When all the other townships in the area supported Sunday hunting, Brighton wanted to just have the bay closed for Sunday hunting, but they couldn't do that. It had to be all or nothing. So the whole township, all the way up north, south, east, and west, as far as it goes. Something that I didn't know until talking to the bylaw officer, that the ban from Brighton Township extends all the way to the U.S. border in Lake Ontario, not just the bay. So technically, somebody couldn't hunt a mile offshore or 2 miles or legally. It supposedly goes all the way to the U.S. border, which is halfway across Lake Ontario. The shooting for ducks is in the late fall when people aren't outside. Basically, October, November is the main into December. I believe there's a thing on the website, something about people with their windows open and the shooting and something like that. And if people are worried about the noise, then they should complain about the racetrack on Saturday night, or all the sea-doos that are going to be tearing up and down the bay very shortly if the weather ever warms up, because they'll be roaring around and they will be scaring a lot of wildlife out of there. And with the high water, they'll be going all kinds of places. All right, I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration, and leave it in your hands.
Thank you, Mr. Madison. So before you go,
Okay, any questions?
I'll open up the floor to members of council if you have any questions for the delegation. Councillor LeBlanc.
So, mainly on Presqu'île, it's a place called Salt Point that they don't want hunting on Sunday, which is a 2.5 acre piece of land that's owned by the Crown. Is that right?
Is this that new property that they just bought?
No, it's a piece of Crown land.
Okay.
And what it is, there's 3 guides, one from Quebec, 2 from Ontario, 2 from Brighton, that have guiding service that guide off of there for Whistler ducks and mainly ducks.
Right.
That's only use it 6 days a week now. I did a little bit of research since I read your stuff, because I called the M&R, called the Crown. I've talked to the mayor because he was here in 2003 when this was not passed. And he gave me a bit of information, so I had to call back the Crown and the M&R today. And it was right that it was passed by most. But if you look at Brighton now, if you look at the map of Ontario now, which you probably have, you notice there's one little white dot in about 150 kilometer square, and it's Brighton.
Yeah.
The only one that doesn't allow Sunday hunting.
That's right.
One little white dot. So with this town, I went and talked to John, the owner of Presqu'île Motel, and I wanted to know during hunting season if his rates went down. He says they dropped because they used to come in pairs to hunt at the park because they could do Saturday and Sunday right at the same time, so they'd come. So we've just invested a whole bunch of money in tourism with Trenton and stuff. We've been trying to get economic development coming here and bring people into town to buy goods, gas, food, spend money.
Do you have a question for the
Yes.
delegation?
Yes. Do you think it would improve our economic development by allowing Sunday hunting?
Of course it would. It will bring, now, it will bring people and hunters into the area to not only just duck hunting, that's what the bylaw was passed again for. The turkey hunting, which is on now, there's no Sunday hunting, deer hunting, any other related hunting. There is no hunting on Sunday
But
in the
it's-
whole township.
But in deer hunting, it's only 2 Sundays for the whole year, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
That's right.
Well, maybe 3 if it's a controlled hunt.
Did you know that now they've passed the laws, the rules that you can just say hunting for all and separate Salt Point away from it that you couldn't do in 2003? Did you know that that's been going on? Did you know that?
Like the park has controlled hunting, but that's a provincial park and they regulate it and they have their blinds and the people are allowed to hunt there, whatever, what Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday or something like that?
With our bylaw officer, we found out today that in 2003, did you know that they could not separate Salt Point? They had to make it as a whole, a decision for the whole of the Brighton municipality. They couldn't separate just one piece of it.
Okay, that was the same as the whole bay was designed for that
Now,
too.
when it comes to the bay, you know where Trenton is right across from Salt Point?
Yes.
It's less than 400 yards. I hunt there, Quinte West. On a calm day, there's no difference in being on that side of the shore or the other side of the shore. The echo is the same. It still does the same, so it's not the same. Another question. With all the new young hunters coming with mother and son, mother and daughter, father and son, father and daughter, do you see the bonding that's going on, that they can get out 2 days a week when the father's working or the mother's working?
That's right.
Because I've seen a lot more of it.
Right, and on the petition, there is probably at least 7 or 8 ladies, and there's 5 or 6 at least junior hunters.
Yes. But again, I'm going to ask you one question. During the winter, after the first day of duck season, how many local duck hunters go after that? How often do they go?
Because the opening day is bad, that it'll be busy, there's no doubt, everywhere is busy, and that's a Saturday, so it doesn't make any difference.
And it always falls on
The following Saturday, there won't be 25% of the hunters out that will be out the opening weekend or weekday,
The
whatever.
majority of the hunters that I found, maybe you can confirm this, are the 2 guide services that use it for income, and the other guide services that comes in from Quebec that stays at the motel.
Right.
And then bring clients in.
Right, so they spend money in the area,
Yes. And
along with other
they-
people coming, yes.
And they're the ones that use Salt Point 6 days a week.
Okay,
Right. So I talked to them, and they're still happy with 6 days a week. They don't need 7. So all we would do as a council, if you brought that out, that we just separate Salt Point from the rest. Because I went through the farming community today to talk to the farmers. Have you talked to any of the farmers that don't have guns?
no, I have not talked,
Well, I went today to the farmers that don't have guns, don't hunt, and because I was asked to go there, because I talked to the mayor, he said some people, I only visited 10, because I got the name from the Dorans, And I visited them all, and they do not have a problem with
Do you have a
somebody
question for the delegate?
hunting. Do you think, if they don't have a problem, do you think other people would have a problem?
I don't see any reason.
Councillor Tadman.
Well, I'll just make a statement and then I'll ask the question,
I
okay?
hope so.
Because we don't duck hunt in the rural areas out by the farms.
Geese?
Geese,
Do you have a question for the delegate? Sorry, it sounds like we're debating the motion, which I haven't read yet. So
I know.
if we have
Well-
questions for the delegate to clarify the petition, let's do that so we can excuse the gentleman, and then I can read the motion, we can debate the motion.
I have one more question.
That's fine. Go ahead, Councillor
I
Tadman.
recognize most of the people here, and these people are all hunters. So we haven't heard from the people that are awakened before daybreak, which they're not supposed to shoot, and on through the day. And it's really not pretty when you're sitting on the water, getting woken up by a gunshot. You think you're dead.
So, again,
Question is, then I don't have one.
Councillor Anderson?
Councillor Tadman, thanks for saying that. I did hear from a number of residents today.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, no.
But I do have a question.
No,
I have a question.
well, get to it, please.
All right. Your petition, nowhere on here does it say the residents, whether these are residents or just travelers on the road that stop to fill out your petition. I understand that the municipality is looking, any petition that comes forward should have a residence and a taxpayer's signature and their address, so we can identify them as actual residents of the municipality. This does not this doesn't recognize, to me, it doesn't recognize them. I know some of the names too, but yeah, petition should be more localized, should be more specific to the.
These people were coming and going in and out of Brighton, and they stopped on their own accord to sign. I was told not to put addresses or anything else on there for privacy reasons. Like, it doesn't say that he lives in Brighton, but if they hunt, they don't have to live in Brighton, but they can hunt it. There's a lot of people who live outside of Brighton who hunt in Brighton area.
I won't follow up on that because that would create discussion, but part of the reason for having the addresses is so we can identify the people that are within the community that are in favor or against
I had
petition.
quite a few guys from Gosport wanted me to set up on the road down there because the Gosport people are hunters and fishermen, a lot of them.
Fair enough.
I never had one negative car stop to ask me what I'm doing and to criticize me and whatever.
Okay.
I might now after being here, but hear about it. But hopefully my phone number doesn't get out in the public, but.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Councillor LeBlanc, do you have one final question?
One final question. I have two licenses in my pocket. One is federal and one is provincial. So when you hunt, you have the same? So one's for water, one's for land.
One's for water and one's for land?
Well, your duck is mainly for water. Your federal stamp.
You can hunt on the land as long as you're within 300 feet of a residence or whatever.
Yeah.
Along the shoreline.
Okay.
If it's not private property and
Okay.
if you have permission for it, yes.
That's good.
Are there any other questions? Councillor Bateman.
I just want to thank you for presenting your information, and I'm sure there'll be more come forward. And somewhere down the road in the near future, we'll make a decision in the best interest of.
Yes, I just did it
Majority.
for a couple of hours each day. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could get 500 names, but I thought, well, you know, and like you said, they can't put their addresses down, so you know they're a Brighton resident. And they were coming in or out of Brighton.
Thank you, Mr. Madison. We appreciate your delegation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor,
And
Council.
I'll read this motion. And there may be some discussion about the wording of the motion, so we'll just see where this goes. I have a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Tadman, that council receives the delegation from Donald Madison regarding request for Sunday hunting in the municipality of Brighton. Councillor Rowley.
Thank you. And could we then maybe add to that motion that we send this to staff to come back with a report? As I remember as well, maybe not 2003, but I want to say between 2006 and 2010, I know there was quite a lively discussion regarding Sunday hunting as well, and I think the sticking point at that particular time was the hunting around the bay. So if that can now be an exemption, it would be certainly worth listening to. Thank you.
That's my recollection as well, that the sticking point was around the bay, although I do hear from people north of the 401, private landowners who don't want hunting on their land. They allow hunting on their land. They don't want it to happen on Sundays. But that's a discussion for perhaps another day. Councillor Tadman.
I don't necessarily want to second that motion, and who has that information as fact that it's just that now they, is it still banned on the bay?
So if we refer it to staff for report and recommendation, staff would do that research, find out what the options were for council to consider.
Yeah. Because they hunt 6 days, around the bay, so I don't think that there's any ruling on that.
No, I don't think there is, but I think it was the discussion.
Hang on, I just heard that Councillor Tadman has essentially withdrawn the second on this motion. Is that the case? If the mover, Councillor Rowley, adds the referral.
I'll second the motion, and hopefully staff will have the correct information for the next time it's brought up.
Any other discussion on the motion, which now reads the original receiving of the delegation and refer to staff for a report and recommendation? Councillor Anderson.
I'm not clear on what information we're going to ask the staff to go and get.
Well, hang on.
I'd like somebody...
Is Mr. Castleman clear on what we'd be looking for?
I'm a hunter from way back, so much experience in the field, and I think I understand clearly what the issues are.
So you understand that we'd be looking for not just across the municipality, but whether it was possible to parse the municipality in terms of when areas that could be hunted on Sundays or not. Okay. Deputy Mayor Vink.
Can I ask a question about petitions, kind of off topic, but not just as far as, we often have people come with the petition. Do we have rules on what a petition should look like, what information needs to be on there? I just hate for people to go and get all these names and they come and then it's actually for whatever, whether I agree with it or not, whatever, and it's not done correctly. So I'm just curious.
Mr. Castleman?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I have the same questions I heard what I heard this evening, and I sort of said to myself, made a little note and said, what are the rules? So I need to educate myself and in turn educate council members and the public.
And my quick glance of the procedural bylaw this evening, literally 20 minutes before we came in, I couldn't find anything specific. So we may need to look at that if it becomes problematic as we move forward. Councillor Tadman.
So we could even add that to the motion, to have that as part of the staff report to come back, because, these people, Mr. Madison's brought a petition. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe the people around the bay that don't want it will come with the petition. Right. So they're going to waste their time if it has to be addresses.
Councillor LeBlanc.
Through you, Mayor, to your question, when I asked the bylaw officer to find the bylaw for hunting, what he told me, because he's looked at it before, it's a simple yes or no. When the vote came, yes, no, you could, yes, you could, and the vote was no. So there's no official bylaw that actually reads that way. That with a whole list of things. Okay, it's simple yes or no.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Just to note that definitely I know that there are people out there who are working on a petition on the other side of things. I've heard from some of them, not only just around the bay, but those north of the 401 as well. So just to that point, yeah, it would be good to have an idea of what it needs to look like if it's going to happen.
Councillor Bateman.
Thank you. If this is, if we go ahead to refer back to staff, for those of us that, because I don't hunt, I don't know a whole lot about hunting or the timelines, can we also have it worked in there when hunting season is for the different things, so that that can be part of the information? I want all the information. I have no idea when duck hunting is, or deer hunting, or any of that stuff.
I'm sure that would be part of the report, but not part of the bylaw, because of course that's a provincial law, when people can hunt and what they can hunt when. Councillor Anderson, did you have your...
I wish.
Any other... Go ahead.
Maybe just a question of clarification as well. As far as Gosport is concerned, is all of Gosport considered, an urban area of the municipality?
Yes, it is.
Which would also then kind of put a couple of other specifics in place there, right? As far as discharging a firearm on any day, regardless of where, right?
Yes, it would.
Thank you.
That is in the bylaw. In fact, I think there's another bylaw about discharging of firearms and what areas of the community are not permitted for any discharge of firearms. Yeah. Anything else? So this is a motion to receive the delegation, which would include the petition, just so everyone knows, and refer to staff for a report and recommendation. All in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. Are there any citizens' comments in the box? Don't get up. No, there's not. Thank you. There's no citizens' comments this evening. There are no staff reports this evening. There are no notices of motion or motions this evening. We have one piece of unfinished business with regard to Physician Recruitment Committee, and it's moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Tadman, that the Municipality of Brighton Council appoint Councillor Ron Anderson as Council's representative to the Trenton Memorial Hospital Foundation Physician Recruitment Committee, and further that Council direct staff to advertise for a member of the public to represent the community on the committee. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. We have one bylaw this evening, and it's moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that Council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw to designate a head of the corporation of the Municipality of Brighton for the purposes of the Municipal Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. We'll move into reports of the advisory committees of council, reports and minutes, and council reports. I have a motion moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. The council received the Applefest Advisory Committee meeting minutes of March 19th, 2019 as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? Motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. The council received the Community Events and Civic Awards Advisory Committee meeting minutes of March 12th, 2019 as presented. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor Rowley, that council received the Heritage Advisory Committee meeting minutes from November 19th, 2018. November 19th, 2018, and March 18th, 2019, as presented. Is there any discussion? Go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, I just wanted to comment that when we're accepting these minutes, we also accept anything that's written in them as well. So not this month, but next month I'll bring it up that there will be something in the Heritage Advisory that we need to consider. So I will bring it up, but it's just as a thought that when we're reading through these, that if there's anything odd that comes up or anything that we don't agree with, we have to discuss at that time, because or bring up if it's your committee. But anyway, I will bring it up next month. Some things that we're working on at the Heritage Advisory. So that's all.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Castleman.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's certainly something I picked up on my review of the minutes from March 18th, and I was sensitized to the whole issue of the digital archives becoming part of our strategic plan, and I wanted to make sure that we had some continuity in that regard, because, as you know, we just passed our strategic plan in early April, as I recall. So I want to make sure there's no conflict with respect to what's in the strat plan versus what this committee had in mind.
Yes, and it was in the, sorry, if I can go ahead.
Go ahead.
In the April meeting that we discussed whether or not to make the digital archives their own separate committee, but it's on the April minutes, so we can't really discuss it tonight, but I will make sure to bring it up next time. We can have a discussion around it.
And I'll note that the motion moved at the Heritage Advisory Committee is a request. So the committee is requesting that be incorporated. So it's not a recommendation to council. It's not written as a recommendation to council. If that was the committee's intention, perhaps they can be coached to present their motions in that way. But this request is being received as such. We've already provided the community with our strategic plan, so I think we'll just move forward. Any further discussion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? Motion carried. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Tadman, that Council receive the Rural Advisory Committee meeting minutes from March 21st, 2019 as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion's carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Tadman, that Council receive the Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting minutes from March 8th, 2019 as presented. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. And we move on to reports or minutes of statutory committees, boards, or external agencies. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that Council receive the Police Services Board April 5th, 2019 meeting minutes as presented. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion is carried. And we'll go into correspondence, direction items, endorsements, communications, and petitions. That's interesting. I have a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that Council support the request from Tracy Simpson to waive fees for the use of King Edward Park Community Centre for a fundraiser event on behalf of Tynan Crane. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that Council approve the special events permit for concerts in Memorial Park 2019. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that Council approve the special events permit for the ENSS Prom Parade, May 24th, 2019. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. I have a motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that Council support or receive the request from the Parachute to proclaim the week of June 3rd to the 9th, 2019 as Safe Kids Week. Are we supporting that, Councillor Bateman? Yeah. Any discussion? Councillor Anderson, you're okay with supporting it? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. And FYI correspondence, a motion moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson. The Council received the correspondence from Watson and Associates regarding the proposed changes to the Development Charges Act as information. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. Now we'll open the floor up to question period, where members of the public may ask any questions they wish with regard to items that were reported on the agenda. Are there any questions from the two members of the public that are here? The reporter doesn't count. You count, John, but you ask all your questions later. We know that. There are none noted. Thank you. We have no in-camera session, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Tadman, seconded by Councillor Rowley, that council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Corporation of the Municipality of Brighton Council meeting held on May 21st, 2019. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that the May 21st, 2019 council meeting adjourn at 7:05 p.m. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Are there any, all in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. Yeah, right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.